Hey guys, 8-Bit Squid here and welcome to another Unity Playmaker tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to be making kind of like volume controls for your game. So it will look like kind of like this. So what we'll have at the end is a volume. Sorry for the look what here, it's just literally a screen capture from my game I've done. So we have obviously like the volume, we've got a slider here, and obviously if you click on these buttons here, volume will go up and down, the sound effects can go up and down, or you can use this toggle here to mute completely or mute the sound effects completely. Okay, so let's just get started. So first of all, you're going to want to have a UI element, a canvas, because obviously we need this for putting our other UI elements on too. So on the canvas, we want to make sure that we scale with screen size. Otherwise it can kind of mess it up when you put it into your game. And then we're going to add a panel. And I'm just going to call this sound settings. Okay. So you can, where it says here image source, you could have a image. So for example, I'll put this sky background here, or you could just, if you don't want anything, you can have literally none, and then you give it a solid color by turning the alpha up. But what I will do is I'm going to use this image to make it look a bit more interesting. And then we'll get that onto white, there we go, and make sure the alpha is set to 255. Okay, so let's minimize that there, and then we can focus in on this, there we go. Alright, so first of all, let's give it some text. So for this one, I'm just going to use a basic text element here. You can use Text Mesh Pro, but just to be simple and not having to import anything, I'll just put here, put sound settings. Okay, and then I'm going to make it big enough, so with its screen size, 80 should be enough. I'll make it bold, like that. So my one's not going to be the prettiest one, but yeah, never mind. And then I'm just going to make sure that it is centered. So I'm going to go to my kind of anchor points here, press Alt, and I'm going to anchor it to the top here. Okay, now let's get the next thing working. So first of all, let's work on our slider. So this is going to be easy. Actually, first of all, let's set the name here to be sound text. Okay, so now I'm going to add a slider. So we'll go to UI slider. And you see we've got it here. And it's going to, let you know details here. So value, max value, min value. You can change it, it will work, but we want to make sure, not in whole numbers, because otherwise it's just going to literally be 1 and 0. So we'll set it to just there, and then we can go from 0 all the way up to 1. Okay, so we'll call this, we'll just leave it as slider for now, and then we're going to go to handle. We want to get the circle here, which is our handle, and we're going to delete this one. Okay, and then we can go to background and choose a color for our background. So say any color is okay, but as we've got a kind of blue, let's go with like a dark blue. There we go, you can see the color changing there. Then we'll go to fill area here, fill, and this is going to be this bar here, and let's make that a lighter blue there. And then with the slider, let's just put that all the way up to there. Okay, and as you'll see, it kind of this is 100 here, but the slider is a bit bigger. So we want to actually make the background area here smaller, just like that. And now when we go to our slider, we change the value, it goes all the way up and down. So excellent. All right, so let's call this, we're actually going to duplicate this, and we'll call this one, say, volume slider. And then here we can say this is the SFX slider. And we can move them apart. Maybe they might be a bit small, so we can increase the size. Okay, and we'll pop him over, say, here. Okay, and we want to match that the best we can. So you can use the size settings here, but I'm just going to quickly do it like this to get it done. Okay, that's about right. Perfect. And we'll pop this here for now. There we go. Alright, so let's just add some text to this so that we know what each one is. So we'll add some text, and I'm just going to leave it like that for now and duplicate that twice. Okay, and we'll call this sound volume text. And this one SFX text. Okay, so here I'm just going to put volume. Okay, and I don't want it to be as big as our text there, so let's set that to 60, and then we can scale that and pop that there. Let's make it sure it's all in the middle. About there, okay, and then the same for this one. We'll do that now, so it's 60, and we'll put SFX, and then scale that up. Okay, and we'll pop that one. I want it to be in the middle-ish there. Okay, perfect. Now, what we want to do with our sliders is actually put one element from Playmaker on these. Okay, so we're going to add an FSM, and we'll say set slider value. I'll get rid of that FSM there. There we go. Okay, and what here is, let's call it set come on. Set volume slider, and we'll go to action browser, and we want to do a UI slider set value. Okay, and then what we want to do is make sure it's every frame, and then the value here we're going to use a float, so we're going to create a new global variable, and we can call this a volume, and that will now be ready. And then the same for the slider here, set slider value, set SFX slider value. Okay, and again we just want the same one on there, every frame, and then new global float SFX on there. Okay, so now they are all set up. Next, we want to actually have our buttons. So we're just gonna go to canvas here, right click, UI, add a button. Again, you can use text mesh if you want. Okay, and what I'll do is I'm going to add a minus there. Let's make it bigger, maybe 100, and make it bold. And centered already, okay. And then what we need to do is scale it. Okay, so 100 is probably going to be too big. So we'll make it smaller. Let's say 50. Okay, let's see if we can scale that. Okay, oh no, there we go. Okay, we'll have that one there. Okay, I'll pop that there. Let's just duplicate that. Okay, and we will then make this one into a... Actually, we won't duplicate it now. We'll do that in a minute. Okay, so we'll call this lower volume button. And we want 3 states. Oops, where is it? Here. And obviously, make sure you're adding the states to here, not the text. Sometimes it can be easy to forget. Okay, and we'll just call this lower volume. Okay, and we're just going to put a finish transition on all of these. And then link them together. Okay, so on here, a simple thing to do would be a UI button on click event. Or we could even use a UI on pointer click. So I'll put both of these on just to show you. And it's just going to be the same. We'll go both to finished. So it depends on which one you prefer. So I'll disable this one for now. Okay, then on here, so we're going to call this state 1, let's say on click. Or whatever you want to call it, just so I know that this is what's going to happen when we click. Okay. And then we're going to do a float subtract on here. And we're going to choose our volume. And because we're working on a scale from 0 to 1, we want to subtract a certain number. Now, you could technically on your slider, we go to our slider, say the scale is max 100. And we'll see how that works. So on the volume, we're going to subtract 1. You have to type -1. Okay, and then this is going to be lower volume. And then we're going to add a next frame event to make sure it transitions. Okay, and we'll go to finished here. Now, state 3, we want to do a clamp. Because if we don't clamp it, this value is then going to go under 0. So we'll put the next frame event in here first, and then we want to do a float clamp. Okay, and we are going to choose our volume. And then we just need to set minimum value, that is fine, as 0. And then max value, we set it as what we set our slider to. So in this case, I put it to 100. And then we'll do finished. Okay, so that should now hopefully work. So let's double check. We'll hit play. Okay, for some reason it's already set to 0. Okay, that's why. We go to our global variables here and go to volume, and we need to make sure we set that to 100. Otherwise, the slider's already at 0. Okay, so this one is going to go down to 0, this one won't, but if we click here, you can see now, when we click, our volume is lowered. And on here, we are using on pointer click. If I swap over, I'll see it's just going to go weird. So we will go onto on button click, pause, and then if we click it, still works. So it's just the UI on button click. This will work with controllers. So when you click a button, then it will work. Normally, I think it's just going to be the A button or the B button, depending. So there we go, and we hit there, you'll see it will no longer go below 0. If we look at our volume slider, you'll see we're at 0 and we can't go above. Wrong one, there we go. Okay. And then that is done there. All right, next we are going to do our positive or add button, so we can duplicate that, but instead we can just change it to add volume button. And then all we need to do is change a few things on here. Add volume, and then same here. We can delete the float subtract on here. Add volume, and this time we just want a float add. Same again, volume and add 1. And then with that one, we just want to put him over here. And then we can change the text to be a plus sign instead. Okay, and there we go. So let's make sure that's working. Okay, so we will lower first. And then add. And there we go. Let's just make sure when we click add, it's going to stop. So click it a few more times, double check our volume slider and make sure, you see there, it's now at 100. Okay, perfect. So we can actually now just duplicate these and then move them over. And then we just need to change names on these, and there's a few things, and then our sliders are done. Now you may be wondering like how this is actually going to affect our volume. It's because we're going to be using the float to set the volume on a game object, and I will show you in a moment. Okay, so we'll call this lower SFX, and then here this will be add SFX. Okay, and then all we need to do is change the float variable here to be SFX on both of them. Same for the clamp as well. So we don't want to forget the clamp, otherwise it's going to be messed up. And then with our SFX slider, make sure that our value is 100. And we'll set that to 100. And then the same in our variables here. Get the SFX and we'll set that to 100. And now that is all working. Now to show it working, let me just very quickly add some sound here. Okay, this one will do. Okay, let me drag this in. Okay, so it's just importing. There we go. So I've got this one here called Battle, and little see what it sounds like. Okay, so what we want to do now is to add an empty object. Now, obviously, you probably already have sound in your game. That's fine. Let's call this audio. Okay, and I need to have an audio listener on here, which I already have typed in there. An audio source, sorry. Okay, and just put that on loop. Now, on the audio, we will put in an FSM and just put audio audio play. There we go. Okay, and then we can choose the clip, and then where it says volume, you just choose volume. And then, because we want it to keep playing in this case, let's put this here, finished, finished, link them together. Okay, so we'll say this play audio, and then here, finished for finished event, and then here say we're going to wait about a second. Let's put a wait command here, and we'll wait not half a second, finished there. Okay, so if we hit play, the audio should start playing. And very kind of shot out. And it's weird because of the thing. So let's try working with a value of, on the volume slider, set it to 1 on here. It's not going to be so like distorted because of obviously in this case it comes from my speakers. They can't really handle that volume because it's a laptop. So and then we just make sure here we subtract 0.01. And then make sure the clamp is 1 here. Same for lower volume. We're going to subtract 0.01 and then 1 there. And then let's just make sure with our variables that our volume f6 is just 1 on here. Okay, so hit play. Won't be so distorted as you can hear, but it's very loud. And it gets a bit quieter. There we go. You see, it does gradually get quieter. And then on 0, nothing. And there we go. So that is all nice and working. And that's why you need to keep the volume slider as a 1 really for this. Okay, and that will work the same for SFX. Let me import this to show you. So let's call another object here, we'll call this SFX. Okay. And very quickly, I'm going to add states here. Okay, I just want this to be an audio listener here as well, or audio source, sorry. Here, I'm going to say get key down. And I'm just going to very simply put it as my return key. So this is just a laser sound I made for my game. Audio play. We'll choose the laser shot. And then here we're going to make sure this is our SFX, finished. Okay. And then make sure that on our buttons here for SFX, it's the same. Subtract 0.01, and then the clamp is at 1. And the same for here. Oh no, sorry, that is the clamp there. So that is 1. Add volume 0.01. Okay, so hit play. Okay, why is that not working? Why is that jumping down? My SFX must be set to 0 by accident. Globals, SFX, that's there, okay. That's why, okay. My SFX slider needs to be changed to be 1. Okay, there we go. So we hit play. Lower the music. There we go. If I press enter, you can hear the sound. We'll lower that. And you can hear gradually getting quieter to no sound at all. So perfect, that's now all sorted. But now we're going to want to have an option to completely mute them. And to that, we're going to do the canvas. We're going to add a UI element, a toggle. We'll call this volume toggle. I'll move that down. So it's very small. So we're going to make it bigger. Make sure we've got our rect tool. So about that for the check mark, and then we want to match that with that, and then we'll get our check mark in the box like that. Okay. Perfect. Okay, and then label, we can just put here mute volume. And let's just make that so it can go into the middle. Label in the middle, and then we can make that bigger, so say 40, not a bit too big, for 20, there we go. Okay, that's a decent size. Okay, so let's move that underneath. Okay, and then what we can do is add this. Now this is going to depend on a game object. So this is going to be good for if you have in your game, like when you press pause. Otherwise it's going to be a bit different. I won't show you that way in this video. So we're going to want 6 states in total. Oh, it's Control C. Okay, so we're going to have some here. State 5, state 3, 4, 5 there. Okay, like this. And then we're going to want some custom events, yes and no. yes and no to here. Link them up. Okay, and this one's going to be a check. So we're going to check if muted. Okay, and then we want to do a bool test. Now this is like a true or false. And we're going to create a new one called, say, volume muted. Like that. Okay, and we'll don't have it ticked, so if it's true, yes, false, no. And then we're going to go here, and we're just going to add a finished event here, and we'll call this yes. And the same for here, but this one's going to be no. And we're going to link them to here. So what we want to do here is actually set the toggle. So we are going to have a UI toggle. Set is on both of these. And then a next frame, just to make sure that it will transition to the next state. Okay, so game object where use owner is on. If it's muted, then we want it to be on, and then we go to finished, and then no, we leave that as it is and tick finished there. Okay, then here we want to get a UI toggle get is on. Okay. Then we want to have muted, mute, and unmute. Oh. And we're going to add those to here. Mute and unmute. Okay, this is going to be mute. This is unmute. So look, we don't need anything else for this one, because this action here is going to act as when we click on the toggle. Okay, and this will be mute and then unmute. Okay, and if on event we want mute, off event unmute, and then here we want to do an audio mute. Then we also want a set bool value. And then next frame event. Okay, and then same for here. We'll add all three. Next frame event, set bool value, audio mute. All right, so here, let's get an order. So this is going to go to a finished. We can add the finished event and link that to here. Globals, set bool, volume muted. So if it is mute, we're going to set to true. That goes above here. And then last, our audio mute. We're going to have to choose our object here. So in this case, I put audio in here and tick the box is muted. And then the same, specify game object, audio, not muted, here, volume muted, false, and then finished. Add the event and link that to here. Now let's check if that is working. And there we go. You can see it flipping around. We click, turns off. There we go. Okay, and then what we can literally do now is just duplicate that. And this will be our SFX toggle. And we just need to then change a couple of things. And we're going to put a new global variable, SFX muted question mark. If yes, that's fine. Here, we don't need anything there. And then all we want to do here is put SFX, then set our thing here to be SFX muted. And again here, SFX on here. And then global SFX muted. And it is done. Let's move that over to be about there. That's fine. We hit play. We'll mute our volume first. Okay, there we go. And then we got the thing here. And you see now nothing. Okay, so it's looking a bit hard to actually fix there. So let's put this to here and this one to here, and that actually should fix it so it just works the first time. What we want here to do is, this is mainly for when we load into the menu. See, we go there. So easier to do. So the only reason we want this to be start is that when we load or this menu opens, it's going to check what the setting was. And there we go. That is how to create a very fully interactive sound settings menu there. Okay, so hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any requests for videos, please leave a comment in the section down below, or you can join my Discord. There'll be a link in the top pinned comment or in the description down below. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, 8-Bit Squid out.